Is there anything that's going to propel stocks moving forward?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think all eyes right now are on interest rates and yields. We've seen the 10-year Treasury move up for yield 4 weeks in a row and touching 3% last week. So here's the problem. We've got these great earnings, but before people were in the game saying there were no alternatives, there were no yields in bond land. That's changed fast now. You've got that yield on the S&P 500 below 2%. You can now get 2% on a 6-month U.S. Treasury. Just tying your money up for 6 months, that's virtually riskless. So the game has changed there. So how good do those earnings have to be for people to say, I want to continue to play in the stock playground when I can get 2% on 6 months, 3% for 10 years? At the same time, all eyes are on those inflation figures. Right now, we're going to see a sea change in what the Fed's going to tell us this week because inflation figures have been achieved. They wanted that 2%. They basically got it under our analytical work here right now.
David, a question from Richard here in Sydney. Let's just pull the stock index apart. I mean, I agree with you. I think it tracks flat from here. But if we pull it apart, I'm particularly interested in what happens to the makers of capital equipment. Surely they're going to benefit from this 100% depreciation of their spending by their customers on capital goods in their first year. If you look at the age of plant and equipment in the United States, last 4 or 5 years, it's just blown out. People just sweated their assets. They're sitting on equipment they need to replace. And surely that means full order books for the people who make these goods.
Yeah, so Richard, I couldn't agree with you more. And certainly those accelerated depreciation provided under the recent tax cut should spur development. The problem is, of course, your classic industrial company is Caterpillar. And when management itself says high watermark, who am I going to believe here? I think what you have to look at also is that the consumer here is 70% of the economy. So the consumers are driving it, and we've actually seen weakness in Q1 in consumer spending. Will that pick up? So what is the most important tax cuts perhaps are not due for the capital equipment, but for individual taxpayers. And so they're going to see more money in their paycheck. Hopefully they take it out and spend it. We're surprised we haven't seen that in Q1, but I think that's what you've got to be looking for.